All right, so for this is the first lesson in which we're working with exponents from chapter 3 of the textbook. And first, it's a bit of vocabulary here. If I look at the whole thing altogether, the way I read this is negative 3 all to the power 4. Well, all this together we call a power, the whole thing altogether. But this power is made of two parts. The negative 3, which we call the base, and the little 4, the power of 4, which we call the exponent. So 4 is the exponent, negative 3 is the base, and altogether we call this a power. And this means negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3. Any power can be written as repeated multiplication. So this is the same as negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3. That's the repeated multiplication. And if you evaluate it all, negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3, you get positive 81. So that's when you evaluate. And then the second one, this here, was the repeated multiplication. And again, anytime you have repeated multiplication, you can write it as a power, and vice versa. And you can evaluate any power. All right, so now just to make sure that we are clear on the difference about a few little change in details. So I have 3 pairs here. Let's look at this first pair right here. So 4 to the power of 3 means 4 times 4 times 4. Right, pretty clear. Not 4 plus 4 plus 4, 4 times 4 times 4. And so in the end, that's 64. 4 times 4 is 16, times another 4 is 64. And 3 to the power of 4 means, as repeated multiplication, 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. That's what it means. And this is what it equals when we evaluate it, 81. All right, so what if I have a negative base? Well, that means something different. And so if I have a negative base, negative 4 to the power of 3, because there's brackets around it, that means negative 4 is being multiplied by itself 3 times. So this is negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 4, which is still going to be 64, but a negative times a negative is a positive times a negative again is a negative number. So this is now negative 64. And so this means negative 3 times itself 4 times. Which again, 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 is 81. We have a negative times a negative, so that's a positive, times another negative is a negative, times another negative is a positive. So in the end, my answer is still positive. And in general, when you have a negative number raised to an even number, you're always going to get a positive number. When you have a negative number raised to an odd exponent, you're going to have a negative number. So what about these last pairs? This last pair here, where there's no brackets. Does this make a difference? Yes, these mean something yet again different. If there's no brackets around the negative 4, then this means 4 times 4 times 4 with a negative in the front. This does not, right here, this does not mean negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 4. And I know that because there's no brackets. So what this here means is this. This means 4 times 4 times 4, but with a negative in the front. That's what it means. And those brackets change, whether or not those are brackets there or not, changes the meaning of where that negative is. Then, this question has a base of 4 with a negative in the front. So this is 4 times 4 times 4, which is 64, with a negative in the front. So we'll say in this case, the answers were the same, but they meant something different. Okay, they evaluate to the same number, but they don't mean the same thing. So we've got to be careful. And so we'll see that difference more clearly with this one, because this here, negative 3 to the power of 4, again, the 3 is the base. There's a negative in the front because there's no brackets. So this means 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 with a negative in the front. That's what it means. And 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 is 81, but with a negative in the front. So again, just like above, these mean different values. They mean different things. In this case, we actually got a different value as well. Really easy to make mistakes with that. And it's just being clear about what is the base, what is being repeatedly multiplied and what is not. And again, with those negatives there, if there's no brackets around the negative value, then your base is a positive number. But there's a negative sign in front of the whole thing. All right. So really easy to make mistakes there, but that covers all the basics.